the public hearing for the North Dakota Street Grant proposal and application. So at this time, I think first we'll have Jared, if you just want to come on up. Okay.
Time to bring some muscle.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so John put this together. I'm not gonna go through my whole engineering thing, and now I'll wait till the meeting starts, but Indy Streets program is one of about 3 different programs that cities can apply to on a yearly basis. Generally what it is the opportunity to add corridor improvements, so things along state highways through town. Eligible items, for instance, would be storm sewer improvements, street lighting, pedestrian trail type things, kind of upgrades along the corridor. So they'll fund up to $3 million worth of improvements per year. And what they do is they will build these improvements 3 or 4 years down the road. I wasn't at your last meeting, but you guys kind of looked it over and decided that there'd be a couple wish list things you'd like to have along the highway. Great program because it'll fund up to a 90% grant for these things. The DOT will just build them, and then bill you the cost after they're done. So most likely you'd have very little involvement in these things. So it's just kind of up to us to scope them as close as we can right now. The DOT would plan them, design them, and build them. So they could end up being a little bit different. Generally though, they'll try to stay within these guidelines. So you have a very nice network of pedestrian trails throughout your community. So the first thing we kind of prioritized was on the far west side of town. There's 1 block missing there. So on the screen it's the red on the left. And the idea there would be we'd extend the trail a block, and then from there going south would have to be a local share. And so there's kind of a reason to connect that. That's your busy supermarket shopping area. And so again, the eligibility would be the stuff within the highway right of way. Next thing that you wanted as a part of your list here is lighting. And let me just say that lighting is a part of this program. It's one technicality. The area has to warrant lighting, and I think that it does. If it doesn't warrant it, it's only 50% cost share instead of a 90% cost share. So they'll still do it, but you might monkey with the numbers a little bit. DOT district engineer sent it to me today, and it says that if it's developed on either side of the road, it should be an eligible cost item. And to me, it looks like it's developed, it's within the city limits, but they might not be, perfectly 90%. You would find out during the application process. So lighting on the east side, lighting on the west side where there is none. And then the third thing is the pedestrian crossing across the highway. You have one now today west of there, and so this would be to add a second underpass. Great project, good idea, makes things safer. It's an at-grade, unsignalized intersection today, so it'd be much safer to have it below ground. The only thing that it raises a few little obstacles though, because that is part of the city's FEMA certified levee through town. So anything that's done needs to comply with FEMA requirements. The one to the west of there actually has the levee just to the north of it. The pedestrian trail actually follows the top of it. So it could end up being something like that, where they build a little levee in that little corner there, or it could have a FEMA certified closure structure on it. So if we had a flood that, according to your operation maintenance plan, you would have to go close it. I don't know how they would do it. One of those two, probably the cheaper way, but it's a pricey little item. For instance, the whole, as far as cost goes, kind of just summarize it here, about $175,000 for the pedestrian trail on the west side of town, about $550,000 in lighting, and about $1 million for that highway underpass. The reason they're a little higher is because we have to put them as expected 2023 construction prices, so we have to have about 15% cost we generally think of it as about 3 to 3.5% inflation per year for the next 5 years, and so that's why we added 15% cost. So the way this would work is that we would finalize the application, the city would sign it, the DOT would then have to sign it, and I talked to the district engineer today, he would. We might fiddle with a few little things between now and the end of the year based on the preferences, but it'll be very close to this unless you guys change something here tonight. And then again, 90% cost share, the majority of the items, likelihood of, or possibility of 50% cost share on one of the items, and then if you would find out in March if it's successful or not. And this is just a FEMA map, it's turned sideways, but it just shows that that's part of the levy system through town. If the DOT did build this, there could be some local share of having to get some certifications and O&M manual that they would say maybe it's the city's responsibility to do, but that's about 5 years down the road, and the State Water Commission would cost share something like that, whatever their policy is. So even if that was $100 grand in certifications or whatever at that time, there could be some outside costs, and that's about the only thing in my mind that could be not eligible, but I don't even know for sure if it would be or not. Anyways, that the box culvert or the highway crossing, about $100,000 of that $1 million estimate is for the closure structure, because it could be some type of engineered product where they design it and build it so that it could be installed, but could also just be a little levy going around it. I'm not sure which way they would go, and he wanted me to write the application vaguely so that it could be either. So, questions?
And you had the east side of town more lighting on that map as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so you got lighting in the middle portions of town and no lighting on the west and no lighting on the east, so that would just show extending that lighting kind of city limits to city limits. And like I said, I think we thought that it would warrant the lighting as per the policy, but you won't know until a little later.
Any other questions for Jared?
If you want to make any changes, you can, but we should do it tonight because I got to submit it by the end of the year.
I think it looks great. It may be a long shot for the box culvert, but let's ask and see what it looks like. That's a big safety issue right there.
I know.
That's going to be, on the other end by Tesoro, it's much higher than the creek already over by Sanex there. It seems like you're already going to go in it. It's going to be very tricky.
It is tricky. We got to have about 12 feet. So like it's 8 feet box culvert plus, whatever the thickness of the concrete is, plus enough section for the roadway to be built on top of it. So we need a little over 12 feet. And it would be below the ditch bottom, so we got to do a little storm sewer improvements to get it. So it'd probably be a storm sewer pipe installed right next to it, below it, to get rid of the storm sewer. So it's a tough little spot.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay. This time I would take any public comments for or opposed. Public comment? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, this time we will close the public hearing. We don't need to make any motions.
Not yet.
Okay, we'll call to order the regular board meeting. So please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, please watch over us this evening as we make decisions that affect many people and help us go about our business in the proper manner and lead us down the right path. In your name we pray. Okay, reading and approval of the minutes from the December 2nd meeting.
Motion to approve and suspend reading.
Okay, motion by Wolf,
Second.
second by Hack. Discussion. All in favor of approving these minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Hack to approve the agenda. Second. Second by Stern. Discussion. All in favor of the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Passed. Okay. 5A, engineers report. Jared, how much more do we want to?
1 minute.
Just no problem.
Alright, so 2009 street project, nothing to address, final closeout in the spring. Nothing on Fifth Street. Expedition Estates, again, closeout, future adjustments in the spring. I don't have any update for you on those things. I just try to keep these on here so we know that they're lingering items that we have to address. Water storage system, sounds like you guys got an email, I think I got it today too. You've submitted a cost share funding request to address the water storage stuff, and they've asked for some additional information. We'll get that done here. One of the key things that they try to do usually is to encourage regionalization. So if you're not a part of a rural water system, they want to know why. They want you working together with those guys. You are a part of a system, so I don't see any issues with that, but we would just need to get their blessing on the project, or make sure they don't want to join the project for whatever reason, probably. So there'll probably be a little correspondence going on there. But I'll let you know if there's any issues. I don't foresee any. Generally, nothing. Just submit the street program application. I will let you know if there's any changes. I don't think there will be, but you know, if they insist on something, I'll run it by you and let you know for sure. But otherwise, that's all I have.
Have you heard anything on Expedition Estates? Have we heard anything, Monty, from Williams or from?
Just basically, they're still
Shower.
working with their contractors to have them address this spring, since the weather caught up with them this fall. So
Do we put timelines on them at all, or is it, right now we can't even plow up there, can we? We can't.
It's kind of rough with them manholes sticking up there, but we only plow past the 2 homes just over.
On the very south end.
There's one on each
one of
end
these
of whatever
streets,
people are living in, and we just plow past them. We don't do the loop at all.
Right.
We got that all barricaded off.
Because there's a cave in back there. I think you guys were blocking it off because of that.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't continually put pressure on it, it's just gonna, drag on and drag on, and eventually it's gonna just be
Just don't issue a building permit. That's the pressure for them. And they want to sell their lots and make money. If they can't, they're not going to make any money. So they want to get it fixed and get the property sold. And I mean, the pressure's on them, unfortunately.
okay. Anything else for Jared? Or John?
We'll stick around for a while.
6A, Hazen Wrestling Club looking to use the hall for free rent.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Wolf,
Second.
second by Stern. Discussions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, that's great. 8A, 2020 liquor licenses for DeAndrea's, Hazen Bottle, Long Shots, Hazen Sports Bar and the Hub.
I didn't attach all their applications. They did complete the applications that are required by the city. They worked with the police department to do any records checking for any violations or any of that type of stuff. Everyone is in good standing.
Motion approved.
Motion by Hack
Second.
and second by Stern. Discussion. Roll call.
Hack,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, down to reports. Commissioner Stern?
Last week, Monday, all of us met, the busing board, all met, and I guess, highlights out of it were that, we still need a driver as of now. We got, I guess 11 kids on I guess, a waiting list, for, I guess, like rides to school. I'd like to try to get, seniors to then, use the program more too. And, the board approved the purchase of I guess, a pressure washer for $100 and I guess, $99. That's all I know.
What's it, Monty, what's it been looking like for, are we getting any applicants or any interest at all for busters?
We have one person that was discussed at the meeting that will be retiring from a different job here soon. That sounds kind of interested, so we'll be reaching out to that person.
It'd be nice to fill that.
I can go back, Jerry.
Yep.
Under the water sewer garbage. And your notes, I had put the fact that one account, utility account was discharged by bankruptcy, and we need a motion in order to close it out on our end.
Okay. So you all saw the report on the bankruptcy charge off that we had. So we do need a motion to accept that.
So moved.
Motion by Wolf,
Second.
second by Stern. Discussion. Okay,
So then is this just all the town, I guess, garbage fee then? So why did we, I guess, go this long?
And we haven't been getting picked up for long this time already.
Okay, so we haven't been getting.
It's
garbage
mostly
fee
penalties, yeah.
Okay,
Majority of it, what's outstanding is penalties.
okay.
any other discussion? Roll call.
Wolf,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Hack,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. All right. Under streets and cemetery, we did interviews last week for the shared position between streets and water and sewer. Dan Pillar and Dave and Ryan and myself and Monty were all in interviews with those 4 people, and actually we had a great problem with 4 good applicants. It's kind of nice to see that we actually have a choice to make. It's not an easy one either. And then the recommendation is to offer Joshua Burchett the position, and we do need a motion to offer him this position.
So moved.
Motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Stern, discussion.
So then on this job, it'll entail, I guess, garbage work and street work? Is that-
Garbage, street, and water department too. Yep. Yep, and it'll involve that, weed whacking, everything, it's trees, so it's pretty rounded, position. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Hack,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried, thank you. Police, fire, forestry.
First I want to report that Jim has reported to me that they have been handing out parking tickets and warning tickets for the storm and snow. So letting people know that they need to be off the streets when we do have snow so that they can clean. The other thing that I have is, I don't know, it was earlier this year, we had Brad Quinnett come to the fire department and check because their electric bill is so high. And he gave them some recommendations to follow. And looking at their electric bill from the beginning of the year and to now, have cut it in half. So his recommendations are working and they are following some of those. So I have to commend them on what a good job they're doing. It's really good. And then Casey, yeah, it is, it's just amazing. And then Casey has something that he needs to bring up also with the fire department.
Yes, sir, come on up, Casey, or stay wherever you're comfortable.
Okay, we're kind of in the process of looking for a new pumper. It's, our current truck is 21 years old. So, yes, so it's time to move forward and look at replacing that. We've been putting away money every year into a fire department truck reserve fund, which we put $5,000 in there this year. So, now with it being the end of the year, we still have a little over $21,000 left in our current budget. What I'd like to do is try to entertain a motion to move 20,000 from what's left and put it into our fire department truck reserve fund.
What's the new pumper cost?
About $630,000 is what.
Same size, what we have,
Same size pump.
and what can we get for ours? Ballpark.
They tell me anywhere from 40,000 to 100,000. So it's
Looks
gonna-
brand new.
It does. One thing that we did do a little looking in, it cost us around $10,000 to paint it. That's what they told us is probably our biggest thing. Well, if we can put 10,000 in and paint it red and come out 50,000 ahead, that's something we'll look at. But we gotta know that'll happen before we're gonna put any money into it to paint it. So, but it's, could be like our rescue truck we had. We found the fire department didn't care what color their trucks were. Was just happy to get a good truck, so.
And how long does the process take after you
Gonna
get
be
approved, order it?
approximately a
specs, or-
year, 10 months to a year, so. Which we've got a couple different manufacturers been dealing with. Got specs all back, pricing back. There's about $50,000 difference between the two, so.
It's not much, you're talking 600 and something.
Yeah, so,
Well, I appreciate the great care you guys take of our equipment. It always looks super nice, and you know, you couldn't walk by and think, no, it's 21 years old.
no,
But
no, by no means.
eventually it's gonna start to add up.
Yeah.
So, and you don't foresee any other items here, so that leave you with only $1,300.
Yeah.
So no other training or
Not through
equipment
the,
you need to
not
do
through
this?
the end of the year.
Okay.
I've got Monty all the current bills. We've got everything paid up to today.
Okay.
So,
And of that total cost of a new pumper, rural and county, do we get much from them?
The pumper was, well,
the original one, the county put a little bit of money into and the rural did too. But since, I mean, The rural owns every fire truck in the fire hall now except for the pumper. You know, we have a mini pumper and pumper tanker that we, on the rural side, run to all city calls also. I mean, all the trucks are combined
Sure.
and shared, so.
The last one was purchased by the city as well. Well, the majority of the pumper that you have.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Monty and I looked through that sheet here a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And the last truck was, what, 240, was it?
Yeah, right around there, yeah.
So, but I guess 21 years later. It's-
Okay.
So, that's all I have, thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, that's, those things were, essentially, we need a motion if you want to, do this.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Wolf to put 20,000 into the truck reserve.
Second.
Second by Hack. Discussion. Roll call.
Wolf,
Aye.
Hack,
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
All right, motion carried. Good luck. HCD. Wester.
Really nothing
Nice.
to report on, I think, a little bit later, we'll
Okay.
cover what we need to.
And nothing of the president, other than thanks for getting the snow moved. I know there are a lot of questions.
Yeah, just a little snafu, I don't know if anybody knew that with the snowboard.
Yeah, our
Week
snowboard
ago.
was down.
What's that?
A week ago, was it?
Yeah. it was
That
all
put us
about a week.
behind about a week. Had a, couple bearings that were. I don't know if you can-
Underpacked or
Underpacked.
misadjusted or whatever, so we got them adjusted, and then, the clutch system, the accumulator failed. We got a replacement one for that, at Hazen farm equipment mechanic come and look at it, so we got it up and running again.
When I was doing it.
We're just playing catch
it was
up right
kicking
now.
in and it was shearing. The shear pins wasn't engaging, but they used the day before.
We
Worked just
used it
like-
the day before, yeah, and this is
Quick deal, so since we got it fixed, it's been running, that's why we're kind of behind. By some of the windrows are still the same. Cause we just got the north-south roads.
And North Star 1 and 2 left, and then we're gonna hit like Main Street and a few of the other really rough streets, we're gonna reblade them and do some cleanup once we get the initial windrows all picked up and get them out of the way.
Looks like this week we should be safe still for too much accumulation of snow, so.
Yeah.
It stays away for a while.
Yes.
We got enough. Anything else?
That's all.
Dave, anything else?
Nope.
Thank you. Ten A. Inspection maintenance agreement, Dakota Pump and Control.
This is an annual agreement with them to do an inspection of the main lift station and the other lift stations. If any issues are found, they do charge us at their current rates for parts, labor. The $560 cost is the same as the previous year, plus the $200 for the additional stations. Dan did review this earlier today and said he had no issues with it if you wish to act on it.
Motion approved.
A motion by to approve the agreement,
Second.
second by Stern. Discussion.
I was just reading through the notes there, I guess, what's the part about a, I don't know, I guess, imposter service company or something like that, or,
On their letter.
yeah.
They just want to make sure that they keep your business.
Oh, okay, I'm just curious if something like that,
Now, don't let an imposter take over
Yeah.
an area.
yeah, okay.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Hack,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, nothing is old business, so we'll move down to 12A, new business. Board appointments alternates for Hazen Housing Authority and Hazen HPA. So, we do have some people interested. We did have 2 people go off the board, and resigned.
One's term expired.
1 term expired, that's right, yeah. Buster, does anyone want to add to this?
Not sure how much detail everybody knows.
No, it's, I don't,
Probably, other than you, probably nobody knows anything, do they? You haven't said anything.
I haven't talked about this to.
So Austin C-Slack, or
No,
C-Slack, Claris. Anyway, his term expired, he did a 5-year term on there, and he's opted not to, come back on board. And then Greg McCarthy has a 2-year term left on the board, and he has resigned his position. So, we're in a position where we're looking for, and let me just back up. And they actually have 2 pretty critical positions on the board. Greg was president, and Austin was the secretary. And of course, they're the gentlemen from the board, the gentlemen from the board, whose names are on all the legalese documents and so forth. So once we have the reappointments, then of course that'll require a reorganization of the board once we have, and depending upon what that board decides to do, then we'll see what happens with the officers moving forward. And and the key, of course, key element is now that, we're, as you well know, that project has been ongoing for a long time. We need to get that construction loan closed up, and we need to get things squared away with North Dakota Housing and Finance, and so that we can just begin to operate like it was always intended down the road, and it's been a long road, to say the least. So, and the one thing I would say about it is this, though. I checked again today with Sandy. There are 13 tenants in there. We're anticipating that we could be anywhere between 14 and 15, possibly, I think, pretty solid, 420. And of course, there's 18 spots in there. So if we could get to that point where they would all be filled, that'd be great. Housing and Finance does allow a vacancy rate of about 7%. Well, on 18, that's about maybe 1 unit, So, but I think that would, I think things will move forward. We're also hoping that, the other piece that's hanging out there yet as part of our project is that commitment that we made to our developer, and we still have a lot of his expenditure that we need to pick up yet, and we're hoping that before we close out the loan that we can get approval to get him squared away as well. So I guess I would entertain any questions if there are any.
So our board does appoint this position for just the president, or is it for both positions?
No, you just appoint and they organize themselves as far as their officers, yeah.
So, and I'm not sure at what point, well, I'm assuming you have the one name for certain, do you not? Or do you have both? Just one?
I mentioned Carla Borlaug, I believe, in the notes, is willing to serve on that.
Okay, all right. So, and, I visited with her, and then just for your note, I have also visited with Bill Seaman, but Bill is, before Bill would make a commitment, he'd like to attend a board meeting and get a little more background in terms of where.
So what if we just did a appointed one tonight, then we waited?
Well, yeah, to appoint it would be the 5th one then, yeah, and we could reorganize, we could certainly reorganize with 4 board members.
Well, I think having Carla Borlaug as an option is fantastic. You know, you need someone on that group that financially, you know, is, knows the numbers, and she's been directly involved with the project, so I think that'd be a fantastic person to have on your group. I know she's got a plate, a lot on her plate already, but if she's willing to do that, it'd be fantastic.
One thing more that I'll just add is, you know, I wanted to make certain that we wouldn't be hedging forward and then potentially have to deal with the conflict of interest because of the bank situation. But in checking with Joe Fink, that's not gonna create an issue at all. He said that's no problem. Besides that, they're gonna do some internal shuffling at the bank of the portfolios, and so Carla won't even deal with the loan portfolio anymore moving forward. So that'll be good.
Okay.
So, okay.
All right, so we need to make a motion to nominate Carla if we want, if that's a wish of the board.
I would add probably appoint her to the full term that lost
Yes.
that just expired, so it would be a 5-year term. That way, if Bill is willing to go on, he would serve the unexpired term,
2
which is
years.
2 years, and then
So moved.
Okay, motion by Wolf to nominate or appoint Carla Borlaug to the 5-year position.
Second.
Second by Stern. Discussion. Roll call.
Wolf,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Hack,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you. All right, 12B, Christmas Eve, holiday or not? Question mark. In past years, we've approved closing the offices early at noon. Is this something we want to do again this year?
I don't see why not. Most places will be closed by noon, 1 o'clock. so.
Great idea. Good with that, Casey?
Yeah.
All right, we don't need to make a motion, do we?
We'll just
Is there a
get it out there
recommendation?
over social media.
All right. Garbage is scheduled to be picked up on Thursday, December 26th. Okay. All right, approval of the bills.
So moved.
Motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Stern. Discussion.
I got a
Casey.
question on the, of the special assessment board. This was at a paid spot?
Yeah.
So then I guess like, what are they just working on now?
This is actually for the finalizing the 2016 project. They haven't submitted any costs or hours for that project.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what's going on.
Okay.
Like I said, it's only 2 years, we should probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Hack,
Aye.
Stern, Wolf,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Those letters back.